Okay, good morning, everyone. Well, after this great presentation by Dylan, I hope that I can keep this up to the tone. First, introducing myself, I'm Álvaro Gracia. I'm the partner for the DePIN funds at Borderless, along with my colleague Sean. Borderless, we've done over 35 investments in DePIN. We've been investing in this category since 2018, and with dedicated funds since 2021. And we've been very, very close to the main DePIN protocols, and from which we've learned the best and the worst things to do. So at Borderless, and by the way, about me personally as well. So I'm an economist. Prior to joining Borderless, I was the head of investments at Telefonica, where I managed the corporate venture capital department. And yeah, and economics is one of the areas which I'm more interested in. So this fits very much into how do we build DePIN protocols so that they could last 1,000 years, which is the topic of my keynote here. I already talked about this, right? And let me see if this works. Okay. So one of the key things that makes DePIN protocol truly long-term resistant is its ability to maximize dry powder or incentives, right? So in the case of Bitcoin, for example, if we look at token emissions are directed towards funding the machines that mine Bitcoin and that provide security, right? So at the current price, the amount of Bitcoin left to be mined would amount to around $74 billion. If we take a look at HNT, helium, that amount would be around 440 millions at the current price, with 24% of the supply to be mined. And other projects that are later, like GeoNet, with 32% of their token supply, they could be able to give out around $25 million of incentives. So there's a key trend here. If you think about it, price, it's even more important than the amount of supply that is left to distribute, which is a key here, because there's basically two ways of maximizing the available resources. The first way would be to increase the token supply. And the problem with increasing token supply is that it dilutes the network ownership of early adopters, right? People that mine the token and that participated into the project early, they would get dilute. It goes against the crypto ethos, because since Bitcoin, most of the best crypto projects don't increase their token supply. It disincentivizes long-term holding, because those long-term holders would get diluted. And it causes also a terrible precedent, because it causes uncertainty on the market, because if a project increases the token supply, the market won't know when they are going to do that again, right? So the best way, the chat way to do this would be to increase the price on the token. Increasing the price provides more rewards to early participants, incentivizes long-term holding, generates fear of missing out, ignites a positive feedback loop, which is very important, grows the community, and increases basically the dry powder that a DePIN protocol has. Now the question might be, okay, so we might agree that increasing price is more important than increasing, it's a better approach to increasing token supply. Now, why is this? Because basically there's a basic function here, right? Token price equals valuation divided by total supply of tokens, right? So if we want to increase the token supply, either we increase the valuation or we decrease the supply of tokens. Increasing the valuation means that the project must have better fundamentals, better marketing, more liquidity, more exchange listings, potential growth discounted by the market, a higher TAM, or raised at a higher valuation by venture capitals, right? The other way to do this would be decreasing the supply of tokens. And the best way to do this is buyback and burn. So this is one of the main ways that we could achieve a decreased token supply. Staking is another way, because it long-term locks up tokens. And reducing the velocity of money is another one. Velocity of money would mean that for interacting with the protocol, we would need to hold the token for a longer term. So supply burns are another approach, but are rare to see, and lockups is very common to see. So basically, if we want to increase the token price of the protocol to maximize the available incentives that we have to build out a DePIN network, we must either increase the valuation or decrease the supply of tokens, or both at the same time, right? Now, token buyback and burn is the best mechanism for this because it basically does the two at the same time, right? When a protocol uses the revenue that it's generating to buy back the token in the market and then burn it, it's twofold. It's decreasing the supply of tokens, and it's also increasing its valuation as the token price fits in. Now, you might see a lot of criticism about token buyback and burn. There's comments around if the supply gets burned constantly, then we will run out of tokens. The answer to this is basically tokens are extremely divisible. The Bitcoin network could operate with only one Bitcoin and could maintain its same economics and the same incentives. But that Bitcoin would probably have to be worth $1.2 trillion, right? And that's possible because tokens are very divisible. So when we have buyback and burn operating, what we see is that the total supply of tokens gets reduced. And the key thing for that means that price needs to increase to maintain the equilibrium. But it's happening with Bitcoin, and it can happen with any other DePIN project. About regulations, that depends on the jurisdiction, obviously. What I'm talking about is economics. So that's a thing to figure out by the DePIN protocols. There's another comment saying that it's a waste of money, it's a waste of tokens to destroy them. But we have to think that whenever a protocol is buying back tokens and burning them, they are virtually transferring value from those tokens to the people that are holding the rest of the tokens. So if you burn $1 million worth of tokens from a DePIN protocol, you're basically transferring $1 million back to the rest of the tokens. That's important to understand because it means that you're incentivizing long-term holding. You're incentivizing all the holders around the token. Now, you might find also comments saying that certain degree of inflation on the token at perpetuity could fund a lot of interesting activities and initiatives. Yes, but most of the times, if you expand the token supply, what you find is that the token price would react in the opposite and even more. So the net effect is negative. Why? Because by expanding the token supply for the same valuation as we saw in the formula before, the equilibrium price would be lower. But then you have to add on top of that the negative externalities of increasing inflation, which are uncertainty, lack of trust, lack of confidence. So all of that will cause more pain than what inflation would bring to the project. So overall, this destroys the token value. So these are some of the ideas that will make DePIN possible in the long run. And just to go back for a second, I think we are into something that is extremely big. It's the first tangible Web3 application. So there's many other, there's very few applications in Web3 that bring real world value into the Web3 realm. It's a breakthrough in capital formation. We already know that, right? As we saw with many DePIN projects, humans have found a new way to fund CapEx and to crowdsource the deployment of physical infrastructure. So that's an amazing innovation, and there's many projects that are leveraging that. It's the only vertical in Web3 where exogenous value is coming into this ecosystem because it's bringing revenue from the real world and from unrelated industries into Web3. One of my favorite competitive advantages of DePIN is the high saturation level. If we think about it, other verticals like NFTs or DeFi, they have a point at which if the valuation of the projects goes beyond a point or the capital into that vertical goes beyond a point, then it becomes unsustainable, right? It doesn't make sense, NFTs for hundreds of millions of dollars, right? So at that point is where typically we see a bear market coming in. With DePIN, we could see trillions of dollars flowing into DePIN protocols, and still the vertical wouldn't saturate, because the amount of capex and the amount of infrastructure that is needed around the world to provide connectivity to every human, mapping the entire world, and providing compute power to AI protocols. So the market is so large that the saturation level is just, we will probably never hit it, which means that there's room to grow in terms of valuations and number of projects at a very high scale. It's one of the very few also Web3 areas that is very institutionally attractive. Most institutions have a mandate around investing in infrastructure, and DePIN is a Web3 vertical that allows them to get exposure to that. And then, in my opinion, probably apart from gaming, which I'm not experienced in, DePIN is the only Web3 vertical that can achieve onboarding the next billion users into Web3. So that's why we are all here, and I hope that this contributes to creating a better framework for tokenomics in DePIN projects. Thank you.